What the hell is Saw Sports or whatever that last call was talking about? What the hell is that?
What is up, Sauce Nation? It is your boy Hector Flores here to talk about the Houston Astros 2019 season. Fortunately, it did not end the way we wanted, but I do think that this was a really great year for the Astros. And I'll get even further into that as we go in through this video. I'll also recap the World Series as well as do a whole overview on the 2019 season. And I'll also highlight some things like free agents, players that are going to be free agents, and players that are going into arbitration. So it's going to be really brief. I'm not going into full detail as far as free agents and arbitration goes, but I will just give you an overview and tell you guys my opinion. And as well, if you guys always know, here on Saw Sports, we do feature comment of the day at the end of the video. So if you guys want to see who got picked for comment of the day, make sure you guys stay tuned for the entire video. But before I get to that, once again, if you guys want the content on the other teams here in Houston, the Astros, the Dynamo, the Rockets, any team here in Houston and the Houston area, this is the channel to be on. Obviously, we have Saw Sports that covers the Texans only, and we have Saw Sports TV that covers the rest. As well, make sure you guys go onto the description as you can guys go and join the Patreon. Depending on what you sign in, you get some perks like special podcasts, opportunities to talk to us through Discord in the Sauce Discord, where you can talk to members of the roundtable and Ed Honcho as well on all the things. So Astros, Rockets, and Texans. So as well, and maybe hopefully we'll add a Dynamo group there as well. But if you guys want all that content, make sure you guys go there. Also, make sure you follow Saw Sports in all platforms through Instagram, Twitter, and the Facebook group. So make sure you guys go there so you guys can get updates and instant feedback from us through Saw Sports. So without further ado, let's get going with this video. So the Astros end up losing in the World Series to the Washington Nationals 3-4. And all I gotta say is congratulations to the Washington Nationals for winning their first World Series title. This was the story of a team that was just really hot in the postseason versus a team that is really good, and obviously once they turned up, they would be a very scary team to face off. But I just don't think we ever had that in the postseason. I think the bats were just very silent, and it could be due to the fact that they just went up against really good pitching. Like I said, you took on Tampa Bay, one of the best pitching staffs in baseball. Then the Yankees, who starter-wise isn't necessarily the greatest in pitching, but has a pretty solid pitching staff as well. They did make it to the postseason. They did win 100+ wins. And then you go into the Nationals, who I think a lot of people just overlooked. And this was a team that, honestly, I did watch a lot of Nationals games, and I did like this team. I liked Max Scherzer and Steven Strasburg. I'm a big Anthony Rendon fan. People that may hate on Juan Soto because he's so young and people don't like his antics, but he's a fun player to watch as well. To me, this was a team that was kind of, the little engine that could in some way. This was a team in destiny, the way they were playing in this postseason, and they were just able to handle all things. And David once again beats Goliath, and that's really the unfortunate part. But honestly, man, Game 7 should have gone to the Astros' favor, but there was a lot of things that honestly doesn't necessarily that did dictate towards the Nationals' victory. But honestly, the first thing I gotta say is that in Game 7, we did not give Greinke his justice, man. He pitched an amazing game. 6.1 innings pitched. Honestly, I was not against taking Greinke out after the home run. He was going into the middle of the batting order for the Nationals yet again, and I'm sure third time around they would have kind of started figuring things out. You saw Anthony Rendon do it. So I wasn't entirely against Greinke getting taken out of the game. I think he did a great job. I think he deserved to have that moment for him, that standing ovation and everything. It was just the decisions of who to bring in from the bullpen was what I really had a problem with. Now, I'm not saying that Will Harris is a bad pitcher, but he did pitch in Game 6. I didn't think that it was going to be a wise decision to bring him out here. This is Game 7 of the World Series. honestly, I wouldn't even use any of my relief pitchers. I would have been going straight to Jose Urquidy. Because one, he earned it for what he did in Game 5. I think you should have, not Game 5, Game 4, sorry. But bring him in and go in and come into not a terrible situation. Yes, you had a runner on first, but I just think that would have been the smart decision. Let him go out there, put your best out there. And unfortunately, that's not what happened. And Harris goes in, and then Howie Kendricks puts the home run that puts the Nationals over. And it kind of just went downhill ever since. The other questionable bullpen decision was putting in Osuna. Now, it wasn't putting in Osuna was not the problem I had. The fact that you let Osuna go over 30 pitches is my problem. He is not capable of doing that. That's not what closers are supposed to do. I had a problem with that one. I just... After he was over 25 pitches, I wanted him to be taken out, but they kept him out there, and it just kind of started that slippery slope for the Astros, and was honestly what led to their demise was just the terrible bullpen decisions. Like I said, I would have gone with Jose Urquidy to take care of the rest, and honestly, I'd probably bring Cole in to close it. The only reason why I would say for Cole to close it is because 2 days rest. That's not a lot for him to go multiple innings, but I think for one final inning, give him his moment. Everyone should have been talking about Zach Greinke pitching an amazing game to keep the Astros in it. Then Urquidy coming in to to handle his own, and then Garrett Cole, the star of the Astros this year, come in, handle his business, and get his World Series title. But that didn't happen, and unfortunately, the Nationals were still in the game. And this is a team that's an efficient hitting team. They're aggressive base runners. They get on base. They take advantage of guys in scoring position. And eventually that was going to work out in their favor. But the Astros, unfortunately, didn't do those things. They got the Yuli home run, but that was a solo home run. And then, you had moments where you're like, they could have capitalized where they had runners in scoring position, but they didn't. And even though they got Max Scherzer out because he did have a high pitch count, Patrick Corbin comes in, a starter comes in for the bullpen, and takes care of business there. So the Astros just didn't take advantage of having runners in scoring position. They should have took more advantage off of Max Scherzer. The fact that his pitch count was high and they didn't, and unfortunately, because of the fact that you saw the Nationals still being aggressive, they still were in the game, and that's what honestly led to them winning this game and winning the World Series. It's very disappointing. It sucks, but I think this was this wasn't a terrible series. I think this was a good one. It went the distance. Every time, whenever you go to 7 games, you're never disappointed because that's what you want. You want two of the best teams to face off. I do think that if the Astros would have played their game, they would have easily have won this series, but they didn't. Like I said, the question marks kept coming with the Astros. You didn't really hear many question marks with the Nationals. They were just on fire from the wild card game to the NLDS to the NLCS, and then coming in here and handle their business on the road. And that's the other thing that's weird about this World Series. The home team didn't win a single game, and that is just crazy to me. And honestly, man, I don't want this to come off on the wrong way, but it's gonna. The fans that showed up to Minute Maid Park for the World Series really disappointed me. They were not as loud as I hoped. Yes, they were loud for when there was a possible strike 3. Yes, they were loud when a home run or when guys were in scoring position. But majority of the time, it was just dull. And I know that I shouldn't be critical about that, but it was just, that was the whole point of home field advantage. You're supposed to be loud. That's the reason why we have the roof closed. It's so the stadium is loud. The loudness, it does affect the game, and I think the fans that showed up, the people that spent at minimum $400, didn't do that. And it's crazy to me because I was like, if I spent $400 or more on tickets to the World Series, I wouldn't even be sitting down. I'd be standing the whole time, trying to get my team going, and that didn't happen. I think you could say the same thing for Washington. I mean, there was a reason why the road teams were winning these games. I just don't think the fans were a factor in any of these games, to be honest. And so That's unfortunate, but that's what happened. And I don't necessarily want to put all the blame on the home field advantage, because home field was just not a factor in this series. It was two teams that just happened to handle business on the road, and unfortunately the Astros had 4 home games that the Nationals were able to take advantage of. So all I gotta say is, man, once again, congratulations to the Washington Nationals for winning their first World Series. But I'm not gonna sit here and say that this year was terrible and that it was awful and it was not successful, because the Astros did do a lot of great things this year. Unfortunately, they just came up short for the World Series. Now, when you're talking about the 2019 regular season for the Houston Astros, the Houston Astros end up having a franchise record of 107 wins and 55 losses. They had they were able to put up 920 runs and gave up 640 runs, giving them a run differential of 280. The Astros were first in walks, stolen bases, batting average, on base percentage, slugging, OPS, and sacrifice flies. They were top 5 in 14 hitting categories. In pitching, they were first in wins, hits, runs, earned runs, walks, and strikeouts, and they were top 5 in 11 pitching categories. So the Astros as a team, as a whole, was great this season in the regular season. Postseason, there were some issues, but I think that, regardless, they made it to the World Series. And this season alone, we're possibly talking about having 3 player accolades, which is the AL Cy Young, the MVP, and Rookie of the Year awards possibly going to Astros players. The Cy Young could either be Justin Verlander or Garrett Cole. MVP, it looks like it's going to be Alex Bregman if that happens. And Rookie of the Year is Yordan Alvarez. Now, I did say that I feel that Justin Verlander should be the MVP, but I just think if it's not going to be Mike Trout, it's probably going to be Alex Bregman. But as a whole, man, I think the Astros were amazing this year. It's unfortunate that this team, which was the best team in baseball, weren't able to get that final thing to solidify their year, which was the World Series title. But aside from that, man, this team was great. I mean, they won their 3rd straight division title. They went 3 straight years with 100+ wins. They went to 3 straight ALCSs, and in 2 of their last 3 years made it to the World Series. So that's something that not many teams can say they can accomplish. And so you got to give credit to the Astros, man. They've been able to stay very consistent. There's going to be a lot of changes with this team. And let's talk about some guys that might not be with the Astros next year. So for the year of 2020, there's going to be a total of 8 players from the Houston Astros that will be going into free agency. Those players are Garrett Cole, Joe Smith, Colin McHugh, Robinson Chirinos, Hector Rondon, Wade Miley, Will Harris, and Martin Maldonado. That is a total of 8 guys that are going into free agency. Obviously, the priority will be trying to retain Garrett Cole. Though he is going to get paid. And it's going to be a lot of teams that are interested in him. The 2 teams that I'm already hearing right now is the New York Yankees, which, if you guys didn't know, Garrett Cole did grow up a Yankees fan. But I don't think that's a major factor. But, Yankees are definitely going to put up the money. They do have the money, and they're going to definitely try to use it. Over the last 10 years, the Yankees have spent over $2 billion. And I'm sure they're going to stay aggressive when it comes to the free agency, especially to get Garrett Cole. And the other team is the Anaheim Angels. Now, some of you might be thinking that, why would he go to the Angels? That's a terrible team. That's a terrible organization. Why would he go there? And I'll give you a reason why. 1, he's from California, so obviously he'll be closer to home. And 2, he gets the opportunity to be managed by Joe Maddon. I think that is pretty enticing. Plus, you're going to have Mike Trout, arguably one of the best players in baseball, and a promising player in Shohei Ohtani, who can be a starting pitcher as well be a DH. So that's a really favorable location for any guys that want to go for this offseason, to be honest. I think the Anaheim Angels could make some big moves, but we'll see what happens there. But it would be definitely important to get Garrett Cole. And the reason why I say it's important to keep Garrett Cole is we saw what happened when Charlie Morton left to go to the Tampa Bay Rays. Tampa Bay immediately became a great pitching team. Yes, they had solid pitchers, but I think Charlie Morton did have some influence on him and showed him some of the tricks that the Astros have taught him. And so if Garrett Cole ends up going to either the Yankees or the Anaheim Angels, that's another team that could start learning more of what we do with pitching. So we definitely want to keep Garrett Cole. I think the top priority this season is to keep Garrett Cole, and we'll see what happens there. As far as other free agency needs, I mean, it's going to be catcher again. I don't know about keeping Chirinos or Maldonado unless they're trying to get an affordable deal, but as far as free agents goes, that's what I got. So let's go ahead and go into arbitration. So for arbitration, there's a total of 9 players that are going into arbitration, and those players are George Springer, Robert Osuna, Carlos Correa, Lance McCullers, Aaron Sanchez, Brad Peacock, Jake Marisnick, Alemnis Diaz, and Joe Biagini. Now, from that list, guys that could possibly be getting skipped out of arbitration to get an extension, I think will be George Springer and Brad Peacock. As far as the rest, I think they will all go to arbitration. And the reason why I'm not saying Carlos Correa is because unfortunately he was not healthy. In my actual video for the Astros, when I was talking about some of their extensions, I did mention if Carlos Correa can live up to the level that we all know that he can play and stay healthy, Carlos Correa will get a similar deal that Alex Bregman and Jose Altuve has received. But since he wasn't able to stay healthy, though we know what Carlos Correa can do, I just think we're going to go into one more year of arbitration. If he can perform in the 2020 season and stay healthy, he will be getting an extension. But I think as of right now, they're just going to go to arbitration and see what they're going to get for him. The other player is Lance McCullers. I would have said they would probably give Lance McCullers an extension because he's a promising pitcher. You know what he can do. He has an amazing curveball. But he got hurt this year. He had Tommy John. So obviously they might want to see how he performs this year before they go ahead and give him a big extension. George Springer, I think he's just a spark plug for the Astros, and I think it's going to make sense to give him an extension and try to keep him with the Astros and hopefully have him one day retire an Astros player. So it just makes sense. And then Brad Peacock, I mean, yeah, unfortunately he got hurt, but you know what he can do. He's a very reliable pitcher for us, whether it's from the bullpen or as a starter. So I definitely think the Astros are going to do their best to try to keep Brad Peacock. So those are the guys that are going into arbitration. And if you guys aren't entirely sure what arbitration is, I'll definitely be making a video to explain arbitration once we go more further into the offseason, once we do go into those arbitration trials. But let's go ahead and conclude this video with the comment of the day. Alright, so normally when I do comment of the day, I like to try to get people from Sauce Nation more, or other people that are not members of the round table. No offense to the round table, you guys are supposed to end up helping contribute with Sauce Sports and Sauce Sports TV. So for me, I just think that pulling comments from you guys isn't necessarily going to be fair for the rest of Sauce Nation. So I think it's more important to get those guys out there. But we didn't get many comments from the World Series preview, and I think it was just because of the Nationals. Whereas when I did the ALCS preview, obviously a lot of people that are Yankees fans were actually watching it, and it was surprising. It was a lot of views, and we got a lot of likes from it. So I mean, it did really well, but we just didn't get that same level of traffic for the World Series preview. So the comment I'm actually going to go ahead and pull, and I'm actually going to go ahead and break that rule of not using the round table, and that is using the question, well, not the question, but response, I guess, from Joseph Tinney, who was replying to what I said in that World Series preview when I stated that, do we jump Jose Altuve over Hakeem Olajuwon in the event that the Astros won the World Series and Jose Altuve has an MVP type caliber series, which obviously didn't happen. Though I think Jose Altuve did a really good job, but I think he is a great player. I think he's definitely one of the best Astros players. But the question was like, do we jump him over Olajuwon? And clearly, it's not going to happen this year. And so Joseph Tinney's comment was, Astros, yes. But of all the city, I don't know, man. I think Altuve got to be stellar in this series, and we win to give that title. So Tinney pretty much just reiterated exactly what I said when I asked that question, and that was in my own way of saying it, because I am superstitious with baseball. I'm not gonna change that way. So I'm that's how I am. I don't like saying we will win. I don't like saying that crap because I just don't believe. I believe that that'll jinx them, and so just that's how I am, and hopefully people can understand that. But yeah, pretty much that's what exactly I said. If the Astros can win the World Series and Jose Altuve has an amazing series, wins, World Series MVP type series, do we put him over Olajuwon? And I mean, so, Tinny pretty much just reiterated the question, but I mean, that was the comment that I chose for this video. So if you guys want to be featured for comment of the day, make sure you guys drop a comment on this video, because this is where I will be going to pick my next comment of the day for my next Astros video. So with all that being said, man, make sure you guys like and subscribe to Sauce Sports TV so you guys can get that content on the other teams here in Houston. So with all that being said, man, chucking up a deuce. Y'all stay saucy.
Perfect.